Okay, that one's live. And I believe we are live on Instagram.
Find you.
Hello, guys. We are live on Instagram, and I posted that really late. Sorry about that, Instagram. For you guys that are on YouTube, I was a little ahead of the curve, and I announced it. So possibly some of you guys are able to catch this live stream. Otherwise, you can catch the replay. Andy, good, you are on. Okay, so Andy is going to be joining me today for this live. We are going to be discussing a pretty serious biohack for you guys to kind of like utilize throughout the holiday season, as there is some major shiz going down on the dark side, and we want to make sure that we are leveling up, because as the light increases and as the world awakens, so does the dark. The dark is rising as well. But at the same time, our work as empaths, sensitives, light workers, whatever you want to call us, we are here to be creators. We are not here to create by default of someone else's video game. We all know by now that we are in a simulation and we are playing in this holographic space. Now, when we are born into the game, we are born into someone else's game. But we have all the coordinates, the entire package that we will utilize to awaken in the dream and then create our own matrix, which is what I've been sharing the last few months in these Jedi mind hacks. So if you are, working on your spiritual journey, your own inner journey, then this is the place for you. And I have one of my bestest friends, Andy, here with me. She's been kind of on this crusade the last few years. She's been in several of my master classes, and she's been also producing her own work as well, which we will probably have to talk about a little bit towards the end of this. And we want to give you guys some biohacks today. Now, the reference of this, I don't have a class plan for this masterclass, but I got a download this morning that I had to go live. And so I reached out to Andy early and I asked her if she could use her amazing admin skills to create a diagram. And we're going to give you this diagram that you can then, after this live, go to my app and download for free, as it's going to give you the exact coordinates to create a miracle. So if anybody is interested in creating a miracle, or if they are in need of one or know of someone who needs one. Now, when I say miracle, I don't just mean like, oh, I manifest a new car. I mean something that's like in dire straits. I mean something that is like serious right now. Something that is maybe been persistent, and, all of your training seems to be coming up flat. All your manifestation skills seem to be bogging out. This is where we're really going to be asked to pressurize. We are the diamond, but in order to create the diamond, we've got to be pressurized, which means we've got to be up against that resistance constantly. And as the resistance gets greater in your life, that just means you're closer. That does not mean you're doing anything wrong. That means you're closer. But that is difficult to remember when this holographic experience, this game, feels so freaking real. It's like a visceral experience because your emotions are involved. And so when the emotions get involved, it feels very real. Lack feels real, but it isn't. And that's what we're going to really talk about today, and remind you how to do your 3-point Trinity work in order for you to be able to stay on track. One of the greatest tools that the opposition uses to keep us falling back asleep, at least parts of us. If you've ever noticed, there's part of you that are super woke, but then there's a part of you that is still in judgment. There's a part of you that's still dealing with poverty issues. There's still a part of you that might be dealing with health issues. This means because your soul has been fragmented, which means that you are not a complete system of vibrating light yet. You are kind of a broken, shattered glass, and parts of you are awake and parts of you are very much asleep. Otherwise, you would have hacked this game already. So our work today is to help the parts of ourselves awaken the parts of us that are asleep. And the way that we do that is by understanding the opposition is going to be using confusion and overwhelm. Confusion and overwhelm, which means that you're going to find yourself either kind of like compressed and depressed and stressed, or you're going to be like cycling through confusion. Now, from our years in doing this, we have seen that the New Age journey is the quickest way to confuse you, because there's no real true principles. It's all like, oh, the universe loves me and everything is love and light, and then it's not. So this is where we get really scientific about spiritual principles. So to me, quantum physics is the explanation of spirit. It's the explanation of spirituality. So we're going to be utilizing the concept of vibrational harmony and alliance with creator energy. I'm not going to use the word God. I'm not going to use the word universe, because I think by now there is so much distortion and convoluted belief systems attached to those identities that I'm going to just say creator, because the one that is managing your reality here in the world, in the game, is not your God. It is a God, but it isn't your God. Your God is the creator who created you. So this is where we want to kind of like cut out the middleman and start direct connecting. So this concept that we're going to be giving you, and have Andy jump in just a minute here, but is this idea of let us really unpack and explain creator energy in a very easy way to understand without getting dogma or religion involved. Because when you do that, then you've got generational belief systems, you've got generational trauma sitting in your body. You might have been attacked by your church as a kid. So we're going to leave all of that out of this and go back to the basic principles of energy. So the question that I asked my class last week in the master class was, what can you do with your smartphone when you're not connected to Wi-Fi? Okay, maybe Andy, you want to jump on, since we're not going to probably take live questions unless somebody wants to be like, ooh.
Yeah,
right?
and I did ask to.
She's on YouTube, by the way. She's going to be on YouTube. That's where the documentation is. So if you guys are following on YouTube, you might want to jump over there as well.
And I did request to join your.
Oh, you did? Okay, let me see if I can find you. Oh, there you are. Request. Yep, there she is. Go live with Andy. She's going to be popping up here. Do you see that? Hey, Liz, I see you. Good to see you, buddy. Is it letting you get on there? Oh.
I think there's some feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I turned it down. There we go.
You just lower your way, actually.
I think I'm going to turn it off.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just bring you in Instagram, or we'll just bring you in YouTube. Okay, let me go through this explanation, and then we'll jump over into the work, so we're not keeping you guys all night. I want to give you a biohack that you can take in the next 2 weeks and create a miracle. And when you create this miracle, I want you to come back and post something in the comments, okay? Because this works. Remember, if you're not confused and you're not overwhelmed, this is going to work, right? Distraction, diversion, right? Delays. There's all these D's that the dark side uses to get you off of your game. Your game is you are a creator. So what can you do when your smartphone is, no Wi-Fi, okay? I will tell you exactly what you can do with your smartphone with no Wi-Fi. You can look at all your pictures from the past. You can look at any emails and files that are currently available online that have been downloaded. You can play any downloadable games, which means that your phone is now living in the past. It has no presence and it has no future. Now, when you are offline, okay, you are very unaware that you are offline when you are in your game. Now, when you're with your phone, you know exactly when your Wi-Fi goes out. And what is the first thing that you do? You reconnect. That is the first thing that you're going to do, is you're going to reconnect immediately. And that's where you're going to spend all of your focus, and you're not going to actually do anything else until you're reconnected. Yet somehow when we disconnect from source or our creator, we don't notice. We don't notice that we're offline. But here's the emotion to let you know, and set this in your notes for your alarm clock. Anytime you feel bad. Anytime you feel bad. You feel overwhelmed. You feel confused, you feel worried, you feel afraid, you feel angry, you feel judgmental, you went offline. Because when you are online with creator energy, you are in life force energy. There's no resentful trees out there, okay? They're online. they're growing, they're in harmony. They might be having challenges and experiences, but they are not in resentment. They're not in bitterness. They're not reflecting about the past. They're not worried about the future. They're online. So anytime that you are offline, you're going to start feeling bad. You're going to feel an emotion called lack. You're going to lack something. Immediately, you're going to be disempowered. Okay. Now, what you do when you're disempowered is going to either make you a creator or it's going to make you a slave creator for the game. Because when you're offline, you have to go work for the game and you have to give your energy, your stored energy to the game. The game will then use your energy and then sell it back to you. Okay. This is what we went like in a deep dive in class this week, because this is actually how it works. You feel afraid that you are lacking something. Okay. As a creator, that's impossible. The idea that a creator could be in lack is only something you could physically experience. But if you understand that all energy starts first in spirit, and then it moves into emotion, energy and motion, and then it moves into that fluid state, into the solid state. So steam, water, ice. So by the time you're facing a conflict or noticing a lack, it's already hardened ice. And so you cannot fix the problem in the game. You have to go back to the energy source where it was created. Okay, so you have to go back into spirit in order to change the game. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is reconnect. Okay, and the way that we reconnect is where all of the confusion lies. Because what we're going to give you guys today is the most simplest, easy, effective way for you to not only connect all day long and remember how to connect easily and effortlessly, but you can also track how you're doing. You can track when your body begins to expand, which means the more you're connected to source, the more your vessel can hold light. The more light you become, the more enlightened you become. The more enlightened you become, the more you are a walking miracle. So determining on how many miracles are manifesting in your reality is all determined on how much light your body is holding right now. So if you are getting excited and jumping online because you're in joy, but then the first thing, something doesn't go your way, then you're jumping offline and then you're operating in an offline way, then all you're doing is playing games and looking at pictures. You're not actually living. You're not creating anything new. You're trying to manifest a reality from someone else's game using their Wi-Fi that they stole from you. Yeah, it's a really good racket. So the first thing that you want to do is understand that anytime you feel lacked, 100%, you did nothing wrong except disconnect from your creator. And the creator is you, but you are the small version of that creator. You are soul embodied, and the creator energy is flowing through us through the life. And this is the Wi-Fi that we use to create prosperity, abundance, and all kinds of miracles. So if you have chronic health issues, chronic money issues, chronic relationship issues, chronic self-esteem issues, okay? If you are unsure of your purpose on this planet, it is just coming from the idea that you've been disconnected more than you've been connected. And when you have been connected, it's usually been stimulated or gifted to you from someone else or something else, which means then you become obsessed with a thing that you found a connection from. We don't want that. We want no attachments so we can connect to everyone and everything. Because the more attachments that you have, the more you're going to want to disconnect and follow those attachments out into the world. So anything you want to add on that, Andy, by the way, and if you guys can't see her because she's on YouTube, if you're really tracking with me, jump on YouTube. And so you can see Andy. I'll just tell you what she's saying. Because
yeah, hi all. I just think that what we're going to show you today is a great way to keep this in your own game as opposed to playing the game outside of you, so that you can just always stay in alignment with self and creator. And it's very expansive. It's a great way to really fully embody the light, to notice those moments when you are in those situations that you are anxious or frustrated or struggling or stressed, and realize that it's just an opportunity to go get more of your light and embody entirely.
Yes. go get light, fill up your cup. Okay, so one thing I'm going to tell you guys is that anybody out there who is looking for their soulmate or looking for like their prosperity, like, where's my trust? I know I'm a trust fund baby. Okay, understand that all relationships are a threesome. All relationships are a threesome, which means that they are a trinity, right? There is you, there is the one you want to relate to, and then there is the energy source that relates, which means that if you are in a toxic relationship, then the darkness is your Wi-Fi provider for that relationship. You're streaming from the darkness in that relationship. Okay, because if you look at a triangle, which you are about to see in a minute when we pull this diagram up, is there like creators on top. Okay, you're here on that left hand side, and then on the right side is that what you desire or that problem you've created. Okay, so let's say I'm here and what I want is over here. I'm here, my soulmate is somewhere over here. Problem solution. But here's what you have to understand is that you are creating your reality, even if you're creating with the darkness. So you are the cause and the effect. Every relationship you're in right now is a mere reflection of either where you are connected to source or where you are disconnected from source. Where you are disconnected from source, there is going to be disharmony. There is going to be disrespect. There is going to be all your wonderful D's that we have taught in the class that keep you in denial, distracted, and in your relationship, they will continually be destructive. Okay, so if we're going to go over into understanding cause and effect, we can take the whole karma away, the idea that you did something wrong and you're being punished. No, absolutely not. But you're playing the game offline. And when you play the game offline, you're going to play with the dark. Okay, because they are offline because they've been naughty. All right. Okay, so any of you guys that are on Instagram, I'm going to jump off Instagram because it does not serve me to be talking to you while I'm showing YouTube a live diagram. Go to my Jessica Alstrom page on YouTube and get on live with us there. And we're actually going to pop up this document. And so you can see this diagram. Andy has done such a beautiful job. Like I'm telling you, your kindergartner could create a miracle with this. This is how easy it is to follow. But you've got to understand that you are trying to do something. And if you're stuck, blocked, trapped, right, chronically broke, chronically sick, chronically alone, chronically feeling off, then you're not playing the game correctly. And it's just probably one simple program change, which means your provider, the provider where you're getting your energy from, needs to flip. Okay. So we're going to flip to the provider of love. All right. Those of you guys on Instagram, if you want to follow me over, otherwise you guys can catch the replay at another time. Bye. Okay. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys, on YouTube. All right. Now we are live here. So let's jump into this. So this morning I got a download and it said, the download basically said, you know, draw this diagram and then get Andy and present it. And I was like, you know, okay, great. So here we are. So this concept is that all of our relationships are a threesome, which means that when God is in the middle of all of our relationships, they thrive. Sounds so easy, right? But when we've been indoctrinated in incorrect religions and we've been fed, you know, incorrect information on how to truly connect with our Creator, and we have been improperly taught to pray, we have been taught to beg and to feel less than. And anytime we really start to build the relationship with the Creator, it's usually coming from a very big life is slapping us in the face. Usually this is when we usually go home, right? And we realize I've been offline for a few years, or I've been online, offline, online, offline. So if you feel like you're going 10 steps forward, 10 steps back, you're online, you're offline. So your job as a creator is to really know when you are online and when you are offline, and to quickly be able to get back online as quickly as your phone can get back online, because it does not take long. Now, we don't want to just get back online. We want to act as the creator because like attracts like. So you are made in the image of God, which means that you are down here to act as. You are not here to be better than anyone else because no one is better than any of God's creations, but you are here to act as the example. And the example is always to take, basically, to be a giver of all, to include everyone in your decisions. If you would include more than just yourself in the decisions, you would know when you are online or not. So Andy and I jumped online early and did this a little bit together, and then we've been practicing it throughout the day. But it's such a game changer because when you are actually working in this Trinity state of being, you're going to be able to see how many times a day you're going offline, how many days you are offline, and you're also going to be able to increase your vessel, which means you're going to be able to hold more light in your body every time you reconnect, because you're reconnecting intentionally. See, I think a lot of the times, we start playing with a puppy, or we have a really good news, or we get something and we reconnect because we move into that state of joy, or we move into that state of love. But if you've noticed, joy in the third dimensional world doesn't last. Love is always tainted. It's usually guilted. It's usually shamed. And so it's very, very easy to fall out of alignment in the world that is constantly trying to hypnotize you back into sleep. It's a high level game. And so if you're going to call yourself awakened, then that means that you're going to have to see during the day where parts of you have fallen asleep, where parts of you are living for instant gratification or getting caught up in resentment or unlike godly personas. Okay. So Andy, as you've reflected on this today, what's it been like for you?
It's been really expansive. It's an easy connect. So it's a game that's been allowed me to just take a moment and connect quickly. And it's super easy to remember. Like you said, a 5-year-old could do it. So I think I did the exercise 5 times.
Oh, good.
But I've also done it in my mind probably
Mhm.
just as many times when I didn't have like a pen and paper with me. And it's that quick. It's just a snap and like connect super fast. And then you just feel it coming in like at all 3 points. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Awesome. And basically, like, what you're doing, and you're gonna be like, you have to do this all day for every day. No, you have to understand that as soon as your subconscious mind is so familiar with this concept, it will do it automatically. Because your subconscious mind is actually disconnecting you automatically right now because that's what it was taught to do. Your subconscious mind, which is the holder of your belief systems, that is the keeper of your identity, that is the ego is managing your script. In that script, all throughout the day, disconnect, disconnect. It is telling your body to disconnect because that's what your script says, that's how you're indoctrinated and programmed as a child. So in order for us to override a program that is in a core belief system, we have to manually override. We have to practice, 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 practice until that practice becomes the new normal. Just like when you first lift the weights, right? They're heavy. And then a week later, they're not so heavy. So you can stack more weight. But that's how this game is going to be. So the more you practice connecting to source, connecting to God, and really feeling that godly energy moving through you, the more familiar that will be. And it will be more difficult for you to fall asleep than it will be to stay awake in a very short time if you can do this in a disciplined, consistent way. Okay. So let me get up. That's playing over there. All right. So why don't we pull it up and let's just start working through it so we won't keep everybody all night.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll add this to our.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So as you can see, Andy did such a good job here. We just created a trinity. Now remember, all of your relationships are in a trinity. So you are in a relationship with money, you are in a relationship with time, you're in a relationship with people, you're in a relationship with your home, you're in a relationship with all of your inanimate objects. Okay, all things you are in a relationship with, which means that all things are held together through spirit. right? Even your table it has it has a persona and a personality because it was created through thought and imagination. So even if it was mass produced out of that, that original concept is still in your table. So if we look at you, and I gotta move, if we could move it up a little, because
Mhm.
you are our heads. Yeah. Okay. So we got to move it up. Let's start at the bottom here where it says problem and effect. Okay. So remember, if you have a problem right now, okay, and most humans have some sort of challenge or some sort of problem, and that we can't figure out how. It's not like I get paid on Tuesday, all my problems will be over. The problem that I'm asking you guys to look at right now within your reality and your game is one that is frustrating or detrimental. It has been harmful to yourself and others. It scares you. It worries you. You don't seem to have a real solution. You don't know how to do something. You don't have the right people around. You don't have the right places around you. This is for like more longer term, like bigger desires, because something that's just like a small problem that's already got a solution at a later date, like that's not gonna, I mean, that's gonna work fine for here too, and you probably will have less of those little problems. But I'm talking about, we all come in with soul baggage, and so if you study your charts, you'll see you have weaknesses and you have superpowers. But your weaknesses are going to be the things that keep coming up your whole life, right? Like in your charts, if you're going to struggle with money, it literally says it in your script. If you're going to have relationship troubles, it's going to say it in your script. So whatever is like consistent and chronic, or continues, like you thought, I thought I healed that, then it comes back around, that's part of your soul baggage that you came in here to heal with the light, which means that's the part of your soul that's been fragmented, which means that's the part of you that keeps falling asleep. Okay. And the part of you that keeps falling asleep is going to be operating with darkness, and it's going to get you sabotaged. It's going to get you in shitty relationships, excuse my language. It's going to get you confused. It's going to make you making bad money decisions. And so we want to find those areas and illuminate it, because once you put light on something, it has less power. The dark has less power. So the first thing that we see here is problem and effect. And remember, any problem in your life, you created it, because you won't get past this point if you are not able to take radical responsibility, which means you are not taking responsibility for the person that disrespected you. You are taking responsibility for creating that character in your movie. Okay. We're not letting them off the hook. Creator can deal with that behavior over there, but you are the one that summons them. You called them in, either from soul baggage or from misalignment or from listening to the dark too long. You called that problem in. Now, when you call that problem in, it already has a solution, and the solution is already waiting in the quantum field, but you're not going to be in alignment with the solution if you are stuck in the problem. And if you're stuck in the problem, you're vibrating lack, which means that you're disconnected from source. So if you feel you are lacking anything right now, that part of you, I'm not going to say all of you, but that part of you is disconnected from source, and it might not know how to connect. Okay? Because the part of you that does know how to connect might be, it might be severed from that other part. And this is the way that you can get all of your parts online, because you're confronting them, you're taking full responsibility for their behavior, and you're giving this you're reconnecting to Wi-Fi. When you reconnect to Wi-Fi, healing begins instantly, right? So one of the cool things about Andy is she is probably one of the best healers in the whole world. Just gonna say, one of the few people that I actually let work on me, and she knows energy. And so I'm going to have her just explain a little bit how energy flows through the body, which is the same way it flows. Without circulation, the body dies. And there's places in the body that are not circulating. And those parts are sick, diseased, malfunctioning, in pain. And it's that part, which means the other parts of you are fine. So, Andy, just briefly explain that in the concept of how you work with acupuncture and things like that when there's compression on some part of the body. You know where I'm going with this?
So, as far as like the Eastern, like acupuncture approach goes, like the energy is always there to flow, and something just like a river. So it's like electrical current or a river, and it's always going to find the path of least resistance. So it's going to flow. So if there's a blockage, it will find the easiest route to go to. But now what you have is energy in like the wrong channel, in the wrong, going the wrong way. When it's supposed to be going down, it's going up, or whatever it is. And that causes dis-ease, that causes dysfunction, discord. So it's always trying to move. So it's the same with everything that's outside of you is always trying to get in. And what you have out inside of you is in abundance, is trying to share out to the world. So is that about?
Yeah, that's a great point. As she said, like when one of your areas are blocked of like, imagine like circulation of energy flowing through your body, that's how your body is healthy. So any part of your body that's not healthy is not getting energy flow. And what she said was really, really important for you to understand is that what the body will do is it will reroute the channel to keep you alive, basically. And see, this is what you guys do too. This is what we do too. When one area of one area of our life is not flowing, we focus more in another area, right? So let's say like money's not flowing, so I'm going to put more energy into my relationship, which is actually going to overload that channel, and then it's going to kind of create atrophy over in my prosperity channel. And so I'm trying to connect to source through the channels that are open. And what we want to do is notice the channels that are not open, just like an acupuncturist would do, and then just open the channel. Right. So the places in the body, Andy, that are blocked of flow of oxygen, what happens to those parts?
They atrophy. They can completely go into paralysis or die, or they can be supplemented by energy that's not appropriate for that area, or like entity type.
Parasites, entities.
Anything that's just not harmonized and balanced for it. It can still operate, but it won't operate in flow.
Right. Right. And it's going to be operating like it's like barely alive type of thing, where it starts to kind of like it's a swamp versus a channel. And like the swamp begins to collect, and it becomes to have a lot of inflammation in there, a lot of parasitic energy. And so as above is below. So the same thing that happens inside of the body, just like an acupuncturist would put a needle in, this is very similar to that. And that's why I was probably called to get Andy in here, because she understands these energy channels way more than I do. I understand more of the energy channels, and she's like a genius when it comes to this physical body. So if you guys are having physical body issues, you definitely got to get in contact with her, because like she's a genius. But what we want to do is we want to open up all the channels, and then as above is below, because the root is never physical of the problem. It's always spiritual. Your problem in the relationship isn't the person, it's your disconnect from creator. Ladies out there, if you want to find a soulmate, build a relationship with God or a creator, because if you build a relationship with creator, then creator will line you up with the right person. If you go looking for the right person and you have daddy issues, you're going to marry your father, because you're literally offline, and all you have to do in searching and through your point of attraction is pictures and games. Remember, when you're offline, so you're going to be playing games in that relationship, and you're going to be playing pictures of the past, and that person is not going to be able to get it right for you. So you want to get online before you go into a serious relationship or before you start that company. Okay. And again, I've made all of these mistakes because someone like me who channels for a living, we think we're online all the time when we're not. See, I can be online and channeling, and I'm connected when I'm in my classroom, when I'm working with my clients. And then when I'm in my relationship, that's where that part of my fragment can fall asleep. And so we could be unaware of these things. And this is why like light workers have such a struggle. They begin to kind of like hide certain parts of themselves, because they're like, I'm doing this for a living and I can't get it right. But what they mean is that part of me is asleep, and I don't know how to connect that part to source. I only know how to connect my, my skill set, or, me as a parent or something like that. So hopefully this is making sense. So you can see the problem and effect. So you want to the first thing that you've got to do if you're going to get past step one, and what I highly recommend is that you actually diagram this, because one thing about the ego and your opposition that you're playing up against, distraction and diversion are two of the greatest plays it has, and to confuse you. But if you're looking at something right in front of you, step one, step two, step three, you're going to be able to follow the sequence until you can subconsciously repattern this concept. Because if you, like, I know Andy said she was doing it in her head, which I do too, but I highly recommend that you get like a little tiny notebook, right, or a little pad, and you keep it with you throughout the day, because you're not going to just get triggered in the morning, right? You're going to get triggered all throughout the day. And if you do this every time you get triggered, or every time you have a worry, or every time you start to want to judge, or every time you are contemplating confusion, if you did that every time, in a matter of weeks, your entire reality would shift, because you would be taking responsibility for the parts of you that are falling asleep. Okay. But it's just like what she said, when one channel becomes devoid of energy, then the other channels take over. This is why you don't know you're asleep. Because as soon as one part of you falls asleep, you've got all these other parts that are going to rush to that assistance, but you're not connecting to source. You're connecting to your reserve energy. Am I correct in saying that, Andy?
I would say that it's a good synopsis, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know it's deeper than that, but we want to keep it really, really simple. Okay, so first thing is radical acceptance. And this is why, if you notice that the game of the Matrix, the first thing that they do is they put you through horrific humiliation rituals. Okay, now we look at what the elite is doing on a big scale, but your childhood was a humiliation ritual. Okay, because it taught you through humiliation, guilt, and shame to disconnect from source. So by the time you were 7, you learned how to disconnect more than you knew how to connect. And then if you didn't learn how to connect at 7, then you were practicing the next 7-year cycle on how to stay disconnected. Okay. And this is why when we get older, it's so much harder to create new patterns, because we've been practicing disconnection more than we have connection. So what we want to do is we understand that we're going to be starting out pretty much in humiliation. And through the other spectrum of humiliation is humility. Now, to me, humility is not weakness. It's the desire to turn over the problem to the light and ask for help, right? It's like a child saying, I made a mess, right? I was asleep when I created this. I was disconnected when this happened. I made these decisions when I was asleep, and now I want to resolve and awaken this part of me. And so when we take full responsibility, all we're saying is I know that I created this because I am the effect and the cause. Because you can't walk around town saying you create your reality if you do not take responsibility for being the cause and the effect. You have to be both. You can't be like, I create my reality, but not that, and not him, and not that. It's all of it or nothing. Okay. So the problem and the effect is the most important thing, because this is going to get you into the vibration where you can be led again by Wi-Fi. You can be led again by source. This is where God can step in and start bringing miracles. Immediately when you step into humility and you say, I created this and I'm ready to reconnect, because I know as soon as life force energy begins to flow through me, then my problems are already beginning to resolve from the highest power, and where all people are included, which means that it's going to be a win-win situation. It's not going to just be a quick fix to get your ass out of trouble for 5 minutes just so you can be in a problem again, right? If you disconnect and then go into a problem without reconnecting to source, the dark is going to show up and offer you help, but it's going to come at a price. And anything you've lost, right, that you got easily, you got it from a disconnection of the darkness. Okay, that's a whole class, but we're not going to do that today. So then what we're going to do is we're going to then imagine, and you can even, like, what I think really helps, because when you bring the motor skills into this, the body is now working with the soul. Because a lot of your spiritual journey, you guys, your body has no idea what you're doing because you don't embody the work. You don't take your body with you on this. You meditate or whatever, but your body's not going along with this. So if you actually draw this and you start like imagining that you are reconnecting, and the way you reconnect is you get humble and you tell Creator, or you ask for the light to come in and bring light to this problem. Okay, so you're imagining you're going up to source, or you're drawing a line, okay, your creator, and you're turning your Wi-Fi on. You're turning the life back on. You're turning the lights back on. Okay, now in that energy, you're just going to imagine it, but you can draw it, and then you can even write Wi-Fi's on. And in that moment, okay, that energy is going to start pouring into your problem immediately, because you asked in the correct form, and you're asking for support. You're asking to be led properly. You're asking for wisdom. You're asking for resource. But you're not asking from I'm in lack. I'm in dire straits. You're saying I created this problem when I was offline. When I'm online, right now, I can solve this problem, because now you can get inspiration, inspired action. And what will happen is immediately as you connect to source, right, then the energy, it does not come immediately all to you. So imagine that you send this desire up to source, right? And Wi-Fi, now it's going to connect you just like Wi-Fi. You're sending out a signal. It's going to connect you to the solution, which means that the light, the love, the prosperity, the grace, the resources, the solutions are going to start downloading into the problem. Okay. So let's say the problem is someone, right? Let's say, like, someone's mad at you or something. Immediately, the light of the creator from your humility is going to go and bring light into that person. Okay. And it's also going to be coming into you now, because you are cause and effect, which means you are the problem and the solution. But from where you are under the water in the abyss, you can't see. So you're sending that light, you're sending that coordinate up, you're turning Wi-Fi back on. Life is now going to be flowing through the channels. It's going to come down into the problem. It's going to come down into you. And now it isn't like this problem is going to come call you and say, oh, I'm so sorry, which means that what's going to happen is both of you are going to start to move together. Okay. And so the next step of this is, let's see what we got here. Wi-Fi connects. Okay. Okay. So whatever the problem is, okay, so whether it's a money problem, whether it is a person, whether it is a home you want to buy, or a cancer you want to heal, let's just like throw out all possibilities, right? Immediately, when you reconnect with the intention to resolve, it's important that you are not asking for a creator to just get this person out of your life, okay? You have to see that problem is you. So you can't push anything away. What you want it resolved, dissolved, or reconciled. Okay. So Andy, do you want to use like an example, or like, what do you think that people are going to be like? Do you want to use an example and we can walk through this?
I think, it's holiday season. So I think there's a lot of, like, people worrying about finances and
Okay, perfect. Let's use that.
and bills and things like that.
Okay. Let's use like a bill you can't pay. How about that?
Sure.
All right. So say there's a big bill you can't pay right now, and you don't know how you're going to pay it. Right. The holidays are coming, and again, that's going to bring up guilt and shame and humiliation and sadness and anger and frustration. And so these are all energies that keep you offline, by the way. Right? We probably should add that for our class, Andy, is all the stuff that keeps you offline. But those are the energies that keep you offline. So if you actually want a miracle here, okay, then you're going to have to get into the vibration of turning the Wi-Fi on. Okay. Now I know a lot of like manifestation coaches say, just go into prosperity, just go into prosperity. But see, if I go into prosperity when there's a part of me in lack, then that part is still going to keep creating lack. So what I want to do is I'm taking that part of me that's in lack to the creator. And I'm saying, we messed up. We manifested a big bill we can't pay. And I don't want to go into the dark to find a quick, cash day loan that I'm going to have to pay 800% interest on. Like, I want a prosperous I want a prosperous solution, which means something I'm not going to have to get further in debt over, or sell my soul for, or, have to work thousands of hours to recover. I want a miracle because I'm a child of God, and I am here to have dominion over the fish and the earth and, the birds. And I'm here for my second awakening. The birds have two awakenings, the fish have two awakenings because they start as eggs. So you see, we are going to have another awakening, and all of us is going to wake up. And that's what the second coming is when we start to not just connect, but be the Wi-Fi. And that will happen if that becomes subconscious. So the first thing you have to do is go into that humility. You're not graveling and, oh, I'm so guilty. You're saying, you know what? I was asleep when I created this, and I want to now live an awakened, prosperous life. So it's like there is an awareness and acceptance. And so it's kind of like the definition of repentance. It's just a change of mind. It's just, I'm changing my mind. I don't want to operate this way. I want to operate with source. I want to operate in the light. So we're connecting with the light. The light is going down into the problem immediately, because when you ask, it's given. It's also the solutions are coming down into you. Coordinates are going into the problem, which means money is already desiring you at that point where there was no money desiring you before. It's already beginning to desire you, and you are already getting ideas downloading to you that are going to be coming in the form of all kinds of different things. And now the energy is going to start bringing you together. So it's almost like two kids are fighting, and you bring a parent involved, and the parent, makes everything wonderful. And then you can come back together and be together, because your relationships are about unity and freedom and prosperity, not separation and depletion. So this is kind of like bringing a loving parent in the middle. And now we're going to be bringing these energies together. Now, I like the using of the money, because you're not going to have resentment over, something money said to you. So that could be another layer of you being asleep. If you're concerned with somebody that you don't, if you want someone to stay away, that is your first indication that you won't be able to get back online. Okay. Which means that you could have someone horrific in your life that you don't want back in your life, but you have to you want to have peace and resolution so everybody can go their own way in harmony, which means that you won't ever be able to ask Creator to push someone away that you have resistance with, because that will keep you offline. But we'll get into that later in another class. All right. So we're going down, we're sending energy to the solution. God's sending energy to solution. God's sending energy to you. Now you're online, which means now you can connect to infinite possibilities, where before you had no solutions or possibilities. You went from no solutions to infinite possibilities. Okay. Now, as soon as that happens, in order for you to now be in alignment for your greatest miracle, you're going to want to become the vibration of Creator. Creator is a giver. Creator gives without the need to receive. This is where you settle up and you reconcile your energy. This is where you clean up all of your soul baggage and you reconcile your karma, let's say. So what you do, you've asked Creator to give you something that you can't give back. So now Creator is going to say to you, go give something and don't expect anything in return. And so what you'll do first is you'll look at your problem that you created when you were offline. And now that you're online, you're going to look at your problem again. You're going to look at that same bill. But this time you're going to create a 3-point Trinity God code around it. Okay, and this is a God code. Number 1, you're going to ask Creator to bless money. Blessing money is like asking Creator to clean money or purify money or help money. Okay, you're going to ask for your problem to be blessed. Then you're going to praise the problem, which means if it's a money problem, how could I praise money? I could say, well, money is a great energy tool for exchange. And so basically what you're doing is you're complimenting it and praising it. You're going through its positive aspects, because you've got to clean up the energy about how you feel about money. Right? So if I think money is like evil and the root of all evil, and I'm asking Creator to bring me some of it, well, then I'm cursing myself because I don't actually want it. So this is where you clean the energy of of any curses or any spells that you have on money or on debt. And it begins to clean your vessel and the flow and path. So you ask Creator to bless that money. You ask Creator to and praise it. So you're praising it. You're telling God, these are the positive aspects about it. Leave out all the impositive aspects. Go through positive aspects, praise it. The last one is pray for. And when we're praying for, what we're doing is we're asking for resolution of all parties involved, for the highest level of love and the highest level of unity for all. So then that third point, acting as our God code, is going to be the 3-point Trinity, where we're asking Creator to we're praying for the perfect outcome for everyone to win. Okay, there's no lack. Okay, there's no guilt here. There's no shame here. There's no humiliation here. There is a recognition that I'm disconnected. There is a desire to get right with the light and to utilize the light, reconnect with light, take full responsibility for all involved because it's in your movie. And then you allow that download to begin to fill your problem, fill you, and then you're the one who's cleaning the pipes basically so the energy can flow together. And what will happen is you'll notice that you'll probably only have to take 20% action here, which means that an inspired action will be downloaded. Someone will tell you to make a call or something like that. But the problem is now the solution, and it's moving towards you. Okay. Now that is where you complete this Trinity, and you've like drawn, you've been drawing your Trinities as each step. You're like, as you're doing each step, you're drawing a line. And as you come back to yourself, okay, see, now you're not the problem anymore. Now you are the solution. And now you know how to turn your Wi-Fi on. So immediately you're going to surrender this Trinity now. You can put this down. And then what I would recommend is go out and help someone who can't help you physically. You did this emotional God code, right? You gave without receiving, which means the problem's not blessing you. The problem is not praising you. You're praising the problem. You're blessing it. So you're the one who's taking responsibility and cleaning up the energy. So now you are in the highest state of prosperity. You're in the highest state of light. You are reconnected to source, and you're going to feel 1,000 times better. Now, if you can go out and give without the need to receive, you're going to then line up the energy. The opposite of that is learning how to receive without giving. And Andy is becoming like a master of that. So I'm just going to have her share a little bit because she's been getting really good at this. It feels very awkward, but those of you guys out there who don't want jobs, who don't want to work for the matrix, this is how you do it. The prosperity principle is to give without receiving and then receive without giving. And it comes from opposite spectrums of the universe so that you are not working for a system, but you're working under the umbrella of Creator, which means that everyone is in prosperity with you and everybody is connected through one heart. So I just wanted Andy to share a little bit of her experience with that.
Sure. So once you let go and surrender, you really go into giving without receiving, which is really expansive. It's brought in so much light for me. It's so much fun. So the best thing that I can recommend for you is to just, let it go and know that source has your back, that it's taken care of. You've handed it over. And now, like, how do I get to play Creator here? Like, what can I do? How can I be source? And some of the best ways are just taking what you're abundant in and you're naturally skilled at and going forth. And it could be just like, I just love to go out and smile and compliment people and maybe hold the door, or sometimes I found it's just listening, like what they have to say. And then while they're listening, you can just like bless what they're saying. You can bless what's going on in their lives, their relationships, their finances, their whatever it is that they have going on. It could be paying it forward, and always, like, again, checking your motives too, like asking yourself, like, how can I give without receiving? And listening to that. Like, sometimes it's just intellect that I've collected and I can give to somebody that is in need of that without receiving anything or expecting to be paid for it. And it's so much fun to actually be that version of myself that I know I am. and know that it's allowed to do that. It's been just such a blast to just give that natural essence of who I am.
Yes.
And without like looking for accolades, or, you know, if you're going to buy somebody a meal or having to put it online that you did that, or whatever it is, just like no validation, no approval, just knowing that the validation and approval and all of that comes from the creator. And then on the other side of that, well, I think we haven't really gotten there yet. So I'll let you lead into
that. Annie made a really good point. So one of the things about this Trinity process is it totally dismantles your ego, because your ego is like, it's been constructed, especially those first 14 years, to be very transactional in all your relationships, which means if I give you something, I expect something back. And that is the quickest way to deactivate Wi-Fi, because the way Creator works is, see, there's parts of you that are asleep that can't give. Then there's parts of you that are awake that can give abundantly in certain areas. But the part of you that might be asleep might be your priority. Okay, so what that means is Creator saying the parts of you that are awake, you give abundantly in those areas, and then someone else who's awake in prosperity is going to help you awaken in that area, because Creator made it so we all help each other. But see, what we do is we keep forgetting that we have become compartmentalized fractal consciousness, and we think that I have to go give money when I have no money. And see, the idea is that when you are in lack with money, okay, you're only in lack physically. You can decide if you're in lack emotionally, and you're never in lack in spirit. You see, ever. In spirit, you are all, everything is yours in spirit. So if you decide to change your emotion, right, and you decide to think more of, well, I don't have the prosperity of money, but I have the prosperity of smiles, or I can walk someone across the street, or I can donate time, or I can donate all these bags of clothes that I don't wear anymore, or I can go help the homeless, or I can go do nonprofit work. You see, when we do that, when we use something that we have abundance in, that is a channel of life, then what will happen is, if we're focused on, well, this is what I can do, we're not going to ask a kid to do something that they don't know how to do. So Creator is not asking you to go out and make money if your prosperity is asleep. But what it is going to ask you to do is, the part of you that is awake, go be of service without the need to receive, because that's what dismantles the ego from the underworld. Because the ego's constantly taking score, and your spirit and soul are wanting to take stock. What do I have to work with? What channels are open? Right? Like, look how amazing your body is. Your body can be alive and 10 of your channels can be closed, but your body will find a way to live. Our job is to be able to be humble enough to recognize that there are certain parts of us that are offline, and we're going to have to manually do this to awaken those parts. Maybe, who knows, this could be lifetimes worth of this one part of you that's been asleep that you always struggle with. And then the other part, this is what gives you guys the idea of fraud complex, because you feel like if you're good in one area, you should be good in every area. And it just doesn't work that way. We're very childlike in the eyes of Creator. So if we actually accept, like, this is where I feel my energy is asleep or stuck or blocked, but this part is open, this is where I can give freely, then what happens is, then Creator begins to communicate over here to someone else to bring you prosperity, to awaken you, because you are helping someone where they're not awake. And this is how we all fit together like the puzzle piece, because in the new world, it's unity and community, right? So if you've been in a spiritual journey for a really long time and you like people less, you're doing something wrong, right? So this concept is that we've been trying to figure it out, but we've been getting more confused because we've been getting ourselves offline, because we're trying to study consciousness instead of just get conscious. So the secondary part of this, we're not going to go into that tonight, just because that's a whole nother class. But I felt called. Normally, this is the type of stuff we would do in our classroom, but I really felt called live to do this, especially with Andy, since her and I have been kind of going through this in live, real time together these last few years, to share this, this is our giving without needing to receive anything, because there's some major stuff going on the 25th. Obviously, it's the holiday of Christmas, but it is a very big, there's a very, very big, let us say, giant ritual that's going down on the 25th. And it is something that I discussed really early on in our Jedi Mind class. I talked about the concept of the vacuum effect. And as we know, Gaia is expanding, and the dark is not going to be able to vibrate above ground for very much longer because of the photonic energy. So they are compiling their game to kind of take their game in another dimensional space. And so how this affects you is if you are chronically offline and you are very married to money and you're very attached to people, places, and things in your reality, then the energy is going to be really like a magnetic pole that is going to kind of like suck everything down in it so that this new game can kind of go through a reset. So our game is resetting, where we are online working as creators. We're working in unity and harmony. We're very aware of our stuff, and we're taking physical responsibility for lifetimes of chaos. And then on the other side, there is going to be this kind of vacuum effect that's going to be pulling every being that is offline chronically into their game. So it's almost like if there was a bunch of kids on the playground, right, and a really big game was being played, and you kept looking over there and looking over there, or you really wanted something that was over there, eventually you would get caught up in that game, even if you weren't interested in it. Remember, your energy goes where your attention flows, and where your attention flows is where you create reality. So your only job right now as a child of God, as a creator, is to get online. Get online and stay online. Get to the light, connect to the light, and begin to create a fellowship, a relationship with Creator. Creator will find your soulmate and bring it to you. Creator will find the prosperous energy for you. It will bring you your inheritance. But where you have to start is in the opposite of humiliation, which is humility. And you have to ask Source for assistance, not because you are in lack, but because you're offline. That takes all of the poverty mindset away from you. So you don't have to feel like, I'm bad, I can't do this. No, you can't live life without being online, the same way you can't use your phone offline. It has nothing to do with who you are. It just means that your operating system is offline. So you can let go of all the guilt and shame of the mistakes you've made and recognize that those are the parts of me that I'm going to become very humble and meek, which is the willingness to be led. And I'm going to allow Creator to stream consciousness into these sleeping parts. And then I'm going to work in unity to build balance, because what you'll notice is the solution will begin to come towards you, and you will begin to go towards the solution, and you'll meet right at the 0 point. Okay, so that's all we're going to give you today. That's a lot, but again, if you got one tiny nugget, then that's all I wanted to be of service today. Andy, thank you so much for being here with
Thank you.
and like I said, she's got lots of amazing programs out and available. Where can people find you, Andy?
Right now you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. And I can give you my link so that if you want to put it on, anybody wants
I'll
to,
put it in the download.
you can look for me there. Mm-hmm. And I just want to thank everybody for letting me share. It was a blast, and many blessings to all you.
And if you guys want to learn more of how easy this is, jump over to my app. I'll put all the coordinates. It's free to join. I've got free webinars and workshops in there. But I also have my big masterclass that we're doing this year. And the whole masterclass called Jedi Master. But basically what it is it's you becoming creator. So first we're going to be, getting back online constantly. But then when you can automatically be online, that's the Christ consciousness. That's walking on water, people. That's our superhuman powers, because if you were never offline, your manifestation would be instant. You would never have an illness in your body, and you would not age if you didn't want to. Because think about it. Life force energy does not involve death. The only time death can happen is when you are offline. Okay, so we're going to leave you with that. Merry Christmas, and really remember, it's not about New Year's resolutions. It's about intentions. What do you want your life to look like? You don't want a problem solved. You want a life. You want a big, beautiful, joyful, prosperous life. Don't settle for getting one little problem solved. Go all the way with your desires, because if you understand, the bigger your desires, the more the light is excited to help you. All right. All right, guys. I love you. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. And hopefully I will be able to jump online at least once or twice before then. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the classroom. Bye. Thanks again, Andy.
You're welcome.